Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez once again drawing the ire of the right with these remarks. Take a listen.
The United States is running concentration camps on our southern border, and that is exactly what they are. They are concentration camps. I want to talk to the people that are concerned enough with humanity to say that we should not, that never again means something.
All right, so here's the issue. Is she right in defining concentration camps? Yes, but do they have a feeling of usage, stained with what happened with the Nazis and the genocide of the Jews? Yes, and that's why it is a great debate. Angela Rye and Steve Cortes. Steve Cortes with the new definition from her. I say concentration camps because that's how they are defined internationally. That's what these are. I am not equating with stigma of the Nazis and the Jews. Leave that part aside. Satisfied?
No, Chris, that's a ridiculous excuse for a couple of reasons. First of all, we all know what the connotation of concentration camps is. If we went out on the street and asked 100 random people, 99 of them would tell us, would give us an explanation or a definition that relates to Nazism. But secondly, and even more importantly, she used the phrase never again, which we know is specifically linked to the Holocaust, to the Shoah. And by doing that, she very much demeaned the victims of the Shoah, the victims of that horrific tragedy. She also demeaned, by the way, the American soldiers that smashed the evil perpetrators of that human tragedy. And I would also add this. She also demeans the current American citizens, many of whom are Hispanic, who do the very hard and dangerous work of guarding our border. She equated them by association to Nazi SS guards, and that is disgraceful. AOC should apologize at the least and probably resign.
One point of pushback before I get to you, Angela. You did not have similar problems with the phrase America First, which is equally stained, or the word nationalist, which is equally stained. No, yes, as a matter of fact, but why doesn't it bother you the same way?
You and I have had this discussion many times about nationalism. I totally disagree that it's a stained word. As a matter of fact, I think it's a proud word. American well, no, I'm not wrong. You don't get to define what nationalism means for me.
Because nationalism has been used.
No, you don't.
Almost
no,
exclusively. I'll make you a bet. Steve, let me know what movement defined itself as nationalism that was positive and not oppressive to another.
What? American nationalism, and it was American nationalism that landed on the shores. Yes, there is. Look, American nationalism, unlike ethno-fascism, you're trying to conflate these terms. Ethno-fascism is what the Nazis portrayed, and it was about race and blood and purity. American nationalism has nothing to do with race, nothing to do with blood. It's not blood and soil. Right, look, it's about our shared ideals.
I was giving you a chance about equivalency.
Our flag, our beliefs.
Now, I know what you want it to be. It's called patriotism. But Angela, to you on this now, it is a loaded term. And was it the right one to use?
So what I think is most important, Chris, as we do so often in these great debates, is I think it's critical that we define it. I am a kid who, as a point of privilege, I had a set of encyclopedias. They were orange encyclopedias that I love to read. And so I pulled the encyclopedia definition for concentration camps, and I would like to share them with the viewer. Internment center for political prisoners and members of national or minority groups who are confined for reasons of state security, exploitation, or punishment, usually by executive decree or military order. And to that end, they are concentration camps at the border. To that end, whether we call them concentration camps or we call them detention, they are problematic. To that end, when you talk about a frog being put in a boiling pot of hot water, the frog will immediately jump out. But if the frog is put in a pot of cold water and you slowly turn up the heat, I'm going somewhere, it will die. It will die. And what I'm saying to you is, today we sat through this president calling Mexicans drug dealers and rapists at the beginning of this campaign. Today, we sat through him talking about build that wall and heard all those chants. And we went from outrage, to disgust, to dismay, to it's a shame. And I am telling you that we are irresponsible at this point, that whether we call them concentration camps or not, her point remains. And the right is threatened by Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez because she tells the truth, whether they can digest it or not. And our bottom line here is there is an inhumane crisis happening at the southern border. And it is because of how these people look. It is because of difference. It's because there is a fear that white people are losing their power in this country. That is the bottom line. It is white fear. That is what is driving this. It is racism at its core. It is what the foundation of this country is built upon. Period.
That's completely untrue. For a couple things. First of all, even given your definition of a concentration camp,
but do not call what I said
even given your
untrue.
definition, if we were placing American citizens into these camps,
Britannica, sir.
If we were placing American citizens into these camps, as we have shamefully done in the past with Japanese American citizens of Japanese descent, then I would agree with you. These are not American citizens. What the Nazis did is they took German citizens, dragged them out of their homes, stripped them of citizenship, stripped them of human dignity, and sent them to torture and death.
These people
what we have now, what we have now are foreign citizens who are trespassing into the United States overwhelmingly for economic reasons, and we know that to be true historically and presently because the director of ICE just told us 90% are not showing up for their asylum hearings. They are not legitimate refugees. They're economic migrants who have decided on their own when and how they can become American citizens, and that's not the right way, and it's not about race. My father came here the legal way, and when he became an American, he didn't suddenly become white. He was still Hispanic, but he was an American citizen, and it is not racist and it's not xenophobic for this country to determine the processes to become a legal American citizen.
It's just sensible. Let me tell you something. Now, I don't know when we decided that a humanitarian crisis could be defined whether or not someone is carrying a green card or whether or not someone has their papers, but I'm going to tell you this. Before we are American, we are human beings, and it is not okay. It is a damn shame what is happening at this border, and the fact that you're going to justify it by economics. Let me just tell you, there are a whole lot of people making a whole lot of money by having these people in detention centers. We want to shift the attention as we should off of mass incarceration of black and brown people in this country, but now those monies are being transferred into detaining migrants at the border. It is a crisis, Steve. It is not okay just because they don't have their papers. I hope that at some point you wrestle with your conscience and get to the right side of this because, sir, you are on the wrong side of history. In 1933, there were concentration camps. In 1941, they were death camps. And that is where we are going if our consciences are not quickly pierced. It is a problem.
Let me tell you who agrees with me.
Do not laugh it off.
Let me tell you who agrees with me about asylum. Barack Obama, this is what he said in 2014, and I'm quoting,
quote, my God.
Refugee status
you guys are like the kings of red herrings.
Refugee status is not granted just on economic need or because a family lives in a bad neighborhood or poverty. End quote.
Look,
that is true.
Look, there's no question about that.
Status,
there is no question about that. The Obama administration wrestled with the same problem. Hold on a second. We've been wrestling with this problem for 30 years. It's like a new parlor game. Anybody you want to go to in any era, we've been fighting about these same issues. But you've always wound up coming to a same crisis point, which is, okay, we got to reform the rules. Congress never gets to that. There's a million reasons why. Most of them are bad. But the urgency becomes on how you treat the humanity. In 2014, we went nuts about what was going on with the unaccompanied minors during the Obama administration because it was wrong. They didn't have the resources set up. They didn't have the right procedures, and these kids weren't being treated the right way. And we said, never again. And now we're right back here. And the one thing that I think should unite you guys is you all say this is wrong, what's happening at the border. And not a damn thing has been done by either side to fix it. The left says we don't trust them to spend the money the right way, and they won't give us the right protections to take care of the kids the right way. And the right says the Democrats don't want to do anything. And the president says, even though I have an emergency declaration and I can now loosen some purse strings, I only want to use it for the fence. And don't forget, my whole cell is being harsh on these people. I'm not going to open my heart to them all of a sudden. And doesn't that just really sicken you, Steve? That something that you admit as wrong and that you identify with on one level as an ethnic is being ignored by your own party as part of this problem?
No, listen, I don't think we're ignoring it at all. I love legal immigration, and I want us.
What has been done to help the kids? McAleenan keeps asking for money, and you guys have not put anything forward. McConnell won't even put it on the floor.
Look, I'm not answering for McConnell. I don't know why they
The
haven't
hell
done
you're not.
legislation there.
He's in
I
your
agree with
party,
you.
and you're
I
here to
agree.
defend the
I'm not-
administration. He's
I'm
part
not-
of it.
That means I answer for him? I don't answer for him. And the Senate should absolutely pass something because they can, because they have the votes, and I agree. And by the way, Paul Ryan, when he was Speaker, should have done something. And I will say, to the GOP's great discredit, when they controlled both houses, they did not address immigration, and they should have, and I believe it's one of the reasons we lost in 2018.
And when you guys had
it's not
both
because the
houses,
Democrats-
you didn't do a damn thing about either, except put all your money behind a fence that doesn't
I
help
just said
with the
much
current
to their
problem.
I just said much to their discredit. But here's the thing: what AOC? Let's get back to AOC where we started. The fact that she's
Oh, now
trying to
you wanna
equate
get
us with
back on
Nazis
topic.
because we believe in border control. If her logic holds, then Barack Obama, who deported more people than all other U.S. presidents combined,
Remember
by
that.
her logic, then Barack Obama is a
Remember
Nazi.
that. Next time the
However,
president
we don't
says
seem to
that
hear
he's
that.
gotten
Are you
rid of
kidding
more
me?
people
I
than
can't
anybody,
believe that's
remember
where
that the
you
opposite
end
is
up.
true. Remember when it comes to enforcing the law, Steve, that this president's nowhere clear to being close to the last administration. What he's done is encouraged a flow that we see right now. I got to leave it there. Angela Rye, Steve Cortes, just both of you go home with this. Neither side has fixed a problem that everybody acknowledges is happening. We got to do better than this. All right, quite a week for Mitch McConnell. And look, I know that they say that next week it's going to get done. Next week we're going to take care of the kids. Why the hell did it take so long? Now he's taken on advocates for 9/11 victims. Now he's taken on the issue of reparations with slavery.